Hello everyone, welcome to BATV Test of Champions fan Doosra show powered by Dafa News. I have alongside me Zanika and the super fans from the Bharat Army, Manish, Kunal, Gurkira, Yatal. Hi Kunal, I like your name. It's the same. Anyway, good session actually, interesting session. मतलब दोनों के तरफ से it was. अगर वो 2 wickets नहीं जाते तो I would have said कि इंडिया के साइड से session गया, but वो थोड़े unfortunate wickets थे.
First, I'm happy because match hui finally.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
That's what it has been reduced to. Ki at least there was a ball being bowled, and we're happy to watch that. Yatar, go on. Happy with the first session?
I think it was an even session. You happy to see some cricket after so much time, and seeing competitive cricket after so long time. At the start of the session, I think both the openers were quite nervous. You could see in their eyes, and that run out opportunity with just Shubman Gill just ran halfway around. So I think after that, the shot which he played against Trent Bolt, that upper slat 4, I think then he came to the final that he was match ready. But if either one of the opener could have survived the end, I could have said it was a session for India. But now seeing Kohli and Pujara bat, I think it's an even session. Still, both India and New Zealand are pretty much in the game. But the thing here is Kohli should bat, decently till the end of the day.
Absolutely. Kunal, what about you? Happy? You're from Malaysia, right?
No, I'm in Singapore, but originally from London. So I'm just glad we're getting some cricket. Looking at yesterday's and being from the UK, I wish we had chosen another country to host this. The weather wouldn't have played a part. But look, I think even Stevens first session, I think 2 wickets down. I think if Rohit and Gill was still there, I think it would have been India's session. But I was so impressed with the way we started. We were 40 odd without loss. We were playing with quite comfort, leaving the ball outside off. Just unfortunate that Wagner came on and does what he does best, picked up that crucial wicket of Gill. But I think with Kohli and Pujara at the crease, I think one of them has to bat long. I know we've got a fairly longish tail, but I think one of those has to kind of take it through us to the end of the day, basically. Yeah.
Totally. Manish, 69 for 2. Happy? Sad? What's your emotion?
Well, I think it's been a good start, and of course, Shubman Gill also deserves some credit for someone who's just playing his 8th Test match, first Test match in England. I think he solved the new ball quite well, but I think it was rather painful seeing Rohit fall prey to his susceptibility outside off yet again, and again Gill losing his wicket before lunch was something that shouldn't have really happened for us to be in a better situation. But now one of these two, either Pujara or Kohli, have to be the pivot in order for us to put on a big score moving forward.
Okay. Gurkira, what about you? What do you think?
Yeah, what could have been done better from India's perspective?
I still think it's India's session because once you win the toss and choose to put the opposition into bat, you hope that you would get at least 3 wickets. So from that aspect, and I think that was something which everyone was fearing. But from that aspect, yes, it's a good session for India, but definitely could have been much better because I don't think any of the 2 balls to which both the openers got out were wicket-taking deliveries. To be very honest, I thought the highlight of the session was the battle between Jamieson and Gill, which actually reminded me of Cummins versus Gill in SCG first session because Rohit was making a comeback and the first spell entirely was faced by Shubman Gill versus Cummins. And today, the first delivery that Rohit faced of Jamieson, and he's out to a nothing delivery. And the reason why I say that was the highlight because I thought both Bolt and Saudi were either too full or too short. They were not able to bowl in the corridor of uncertainty, as you would like to call it. And after that, once Gill had realized that if he allows someone like a Jamieson to settle into the perfect length, which is neither full nor short, and you have to play from the crease, he tried, changing his length by either coming down the track and hoping that if it's too short, that he'll go for a pull, and if not that, then he'll probably force Jamieson to bowl fuller. And I think he was pretty much successful in his plan because Jamieson in the end eventually bowled fuller than what he wanted to. It was just that Rohit was poor there, and he should have cashed on that, but he didn't. But overall, I'd say a brilliant session of Test cricket and especially a great battle between two very good bowlers, 2 very good players rather who've been head to head in the Under-19 World Cup as well.
Yeah, totally.
There's a tweet by Anup. He says, "I hope this tweet doesn't jinx it in the second session."
Okay,
but 69, but 69 for 2 is a good start for India.
Yeah.
Unfortunate to see Rohit Sharma and Gill back in pavilion, but guess they have done their job well of negotiating initial overs.
Totally. मतलब they completely मतलब initial जो setup देना था foundation they did that they could have done a little bit better. Like Gurpreet said, वो mistake short selection में थोड़ा सा हो गया था. But anyway, I feel जो pressure था जितना लग रहा था कि अरे collapse मत हो जाओ, they completely maintained the scoring rate as well. Kunal, were you surprised to watch 5 pace bowlers from New Zealand? I was super scared to see that.
Yeah, I was a little bit. I was like, if it does dry up, like then the third and fourth, like the fourth and fifth day, I think a spinner will come into play. So I was a little bit scared if we've gone with the right team. But honestly, we put our 5 best bowlers out there, right? Irrespective of conditions, whether the ball is swinging, I think, even with Jaddu and Ashwin playing, I think they'll still get some purchase out of the wicket. I think Colin de Granham hasn't really done much. Like, I know he was like bobbling the ball around. But I think as it dries up, I do think New Zealand are going to miss that spinner. If we get, kind of the next 4 days without any rain and the wicket becomes drier. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yatharth, initial overs mein Gill was about to be run out. What was your immediate reaction to that? Last thing I wanted was a run out.
I think more than the players were nervous, I was in fact more nervous that it was going to happen. And jab wo Shubman Gill he ran away, the commentators were saying he's definitely going to be out. And then he dived and replay देखा तो उस outfield इतना slow कि Shubman Gill भी अटक गया था pitch के अंदर. So I was completely scared. So again that superstition came into thing. I just switched to my seat and then I think India got to a stable start. But I think as the innings progressed, both were looking quite comfortable. And although one more thing that Rohit Sharma, he had changed his stance, वो हमें अब दिख रहा है, but he had changed his stance in the Australia series as well. If we see, he was batting on the first stump, I think besides the first stump in fact. So I think, and he was playing the ball a bit more lately. So I think that was the trick, which Indian batsmen practice in the net. So I think this thing is really working hard. If you see Virat Kohli, he is also batting, quite beside the stump, and he's going to the ball a bit late. So I think this is the plan for the New Zealand batsman, and the drive which Kohli played just after coming, and it was just super pleasing to watch that cover drive before.
Totally. Manish, should we expect a super big innings from Virat Kohli? Like the stage is set, Pujara would anchor it, and Kohli would just go on and on. Century?
Definitely. Every single Indian fan is looking forward to that 71st century coming, and what bigger occasion than this final to make it happen. And I think he has that responsibility on his shoulders to go on and put on a big total on the board, and hopefully he's that guy who does it for us.
Surely. Before we move forward, let's have a look at the scorecard and just have a look at it. Yeah. Day 2 lunch break, India 69 for 2. Rohit Sharma being the highest scorer, 34 of 68 deliveries. Shubman Gill 28 of 64. Neil 22 overs. I mean, Jamieson also picked up bowled really well, and I was really surprised to watch the way Gill was coming down the ground, like Gurpreet also mentioned. It really did good for Gill, especially the jo pressure release karna tha, like he mentioned, jo length ka issues ho raha tha uska bowling ka, he eventually started to bowl fuller as well.
Yeah, there's a comment on Facebook by Dev Kash. After first spell, Kiwis come back in the game. First session is shared by both the teams, I think. Now post lunch is important session for us.
Yeah, and it is kind of predicted that later in the session there might be some rain. Hopefully there isn't, but then it was predicted before the play started. Kunal, where do you see this innings headed? Like these two batting on and on, or one wicket might fall by the end of the second session? What's your prediction?
Yeah, I have a feeling we might lose another wicket before the tea session, just because I think usually the Duke's ball in the UK does continue to swing. And from around the 13th or 14th or the 15th over, it does swing a bit more. So we might lose a wicket. I really don't hope. I hope it's not VK. I think the stage is set for him to score a big one. Pujara can obviously hold the innings, but because I think the game's going to be rain affected, I think we probably do need to score a bit quickly. So I think that's where Virat will really play a key role. So I'm hoping we go into the tea session with just one wicket down, and then I think the game will be perfectly set up for the next kind of 4 days.
Absolutely. In fact, let's have a look at the opening partnership as well. Shubman Gill and Rohit Sharma batting perfectly. I mean, this initial foundation has been set very well by Rohit and Gill. Obviously, we wanted them to pass the 100-run mark, but it was the second highest opening partnership for India in England since 2011. That's a long time.
Yeah.
In fact, Yatra, tell me one thing. When you watched Virat Kohli hit that cover drive in the very end overs of the session, it was beautiful to watch, right?
It was elegant, and that's what all the VK fans were looking after, because it had been a long time. We are seeing the class of Kohli, and when he comes at the big stages and plays that cover drive, I think it's the most relaxed feeling in the world. To see that cover drive, I think you have no words to express what it feels like.
Also, Gurki, वो जो review लिया था Williamson ने, it was a horrible review. But somewhere I feel on field it might have been looked like it hit the pad and the bat at the same time. Was it so, or is it just we are trying to defend Williamson's judgment over here?
No, it looked adjacent in real time. It looked, because the line was such. But I think as an Indian fan, we should be happy because
exactly they lost the
review. But I was actually a little surprised that De Grandhomme got the ball before Wagner, because he actually allowed Rohit to settle in pretty well. Kept bowling short, and I mean you're praying to God if you're bowling short to Rohit and hoping that he'll give his wicket. And I'd say that is where our batsmen got more and more comfortable, and we also were not nervous yet. But the second session is definitely going to be key, and I'm really keen to see how someone like Cheteshwar Pujara plays here, because there's literally no leeway in this bowling attack. As we talked in the preview, that if there is no Ajaz Patel, it would be very interesting to see who Cheteshwar Pujara goes after, because as we saw in the last over that he faced of Tim Southee, Southee bowled a couple of short deliveries to him, and he didn't really play the pull or duck. He tries to fend it off, and I won't be surprised if there's a short leg waiting for him with Wagner and Jamieson trying to bowl short at him, because if he's not going to play the pull, and if he's not going to duck or leave, then fending that off could be a very difficult thing to do. And India might have to do a lot of fending off if Jamieson settles into a length. And I'll keep repeating this. I genuinely feel that he's the most dangerous bowler in this bowling lineup, because he will actually only force you to play from the crease. You can't go back, and you can't come on the front foot. So it would be very interesting to see how Virat Kohli counters it, because I personally think that Cheteshwar Pujara does not have the tools or shots to counter Jamieson as of now, which is why I'm very disappointed with how Rohit got out, because Rohit would have been one of the better players to fend off Jamieson because of the bounce and his game, where he really doesn't struggle with bounce. So Virat Kohli it's needless to say he's the most important batsman, but because of the factors that we've just discussed, he becomes a lot more important in the coming session.
Also, Manish, when you watched that review ka moment live, were you skeptical? There was a slight thought that maybe it's out, because I was genuinely worried.
Yes, I was worried, but at the same time, again, it looked quite close, and I thought it did hit the bat as well. But thank God for us, we didn't end up losing a wicket over there.
I remember उन लोग ने audience के ऊपर कैमरा डाला था, and all were like,
"What's happening?" Yeah, exactly.
All were like
we were all just hoping there's not another top order collapse जो हम लोग का usually tournaments में हुआ था recent में. Anyway, there's an interesting comment on YouTube by Akshat saying, "Block like Pujara, drive like Kohli." Wow. Kunal, if you have to predict, I mean, I feel the first session the run rate was pretty much good. If we keep on, do you expect them to keep on batting with Pujara and Kohli on the crease with the same run rate, or it might just be a little bit slower now?
I think it's a good point. I think it might slow down a little bit with Pujara at the crease. I think he will be doing what he does best, trying to fend off the New Zealand bowlers, and I think Kohli has to play his natural game. I think just like I mentioned, the rain is going to play an impact in this test match. So I think it's really important that we still stick to our strengths, which is score freely But then also, like some of the guys mentioned, I think the New Zealand bowlers are going to start digging it short, as well as the ball's going to start swinging. So it's going to be super testing. But I'm hoping that we maintain a decent enough run rate so that when the likes of Rishabh, Ravindra, and those guys come in later on, there's not too much pressure on them to really go gung ho at the New Zealand bowlers. So.
Sure. Yatharth, if you we were always predicting which bowler would be the biggest threat for India's chances of winning this final. Now that you've watched all the 5 bowlers bowling, which seemed the scariest to you?
I think Neil Wagner, because the Duke ball plays an interesting thing that it swings after the 15 over. So I think that was the specific reason why Colin D. Grandhome was called off earlier, because they were just trying that the upper lacquer of the balls get removed and we see some excess swing. So I think Neil Wagner, as the the day progresses, I think Neil Wagner is the guy that India needs to just pass him away and don't try to attack him too much, because that was the reason why Shubman Gill got out. He just pushed onto the ball a little too much and that edge to the keeper. So just pay him off carefully and you can smash the other bowlers.
Manish, what about you? The most threatening bowler right now.
Sorry, I didn't get you.
No, so we were always predicting which bowler would be the biggest threat for India for the Indian batting lineup. Right now, we've watched the bowlers. Some are in touch, some are not so in touch. So, which seems to be the biggest threat for us?
Well, I think Neil Wagner definitely is going to be a very dangerous threat to the Indian batting lineup, but also Kyle Jamieson. He's generating that extra bounce and he's getting perfect help from the conditions as well. And if he settles in, if he finds his rhythm, I think he's going to be that one man India need to watch out for in the rest of the match.
Absolutely. I mean, I'm really excited the way. The good thing is, crowds are the hair, so constantly the cameras on Bharat Army. I've spotted Rakesh, Tommy, and everyone multiple times, and
we can hear the drums as well.
We can hear the drums. In fact, we can hear them chanting as well. We are hoping we get some clips from the Bharat Army. Anyway, Gurkirat, what could have India done better in the first session, or what can India learn from the first session and implement in the second one?
One is obviously to ensure and see. I think what is going to be the key is with the ball seaming and swinging away is to play to cover the in swing, because if you're covering the in swing and the ball is swinging away, then the worst that can happen is you would get beaten. But if you're trying to play for the outswinger and it's an in swinger, then you could actually end up getting LBW and bowled. And this is not something which I say, but it is something which the most of the great batsmen have said, that when you're unsure about which way the ball is going to move, try and protect the stumps. And I think this is going to be the key with our batsmen, especially when they have to face the likes of Saudi and Bolt and even Wagner, because they have the tendency to bring the ball back in. Saudi, especially with his angles where he sometimes comes from the wide of the crease and then brings it in. So that would be the key. And I think this is where Shubman Gill had done most of the things right on the ball which he got dismissed. I was checking Crick Info as well along with it, and both the openers had a control percentage of 80%, and 80% control percentage in these conditions is something which is a terrific effort, which is why the squad does justice to their effort so far. Would have genuinely lied for Gill to stay on till lunch, because he with his back foot game, he would have done very well against the likes of Jamieson and Wagner, who tend to bowl a lot of short deliveries, because Bolt tried to rush him short ball and he was up there to pull, then rush him with the short ball and he pulled it perfectly. So one of the openers staying would have.
So, Gurpreet, what would have been an ideal scorecard by the end of the first session? Like you would have said, chalo, this is satisfied. Obviously, 0 wickets fallen, but what would have been the runs? Roughly
I
around
think
100?
Instead of 69 for 2 would have. In 100 you don't even get in India, because the run rate would have been higher. But instead of 69 for 2, I would have taken 60 for 1. 9 runs here or there don't make a difference, but a wicket does. So even a 50 for 1 I would have taken happily instead of 69 for 2.
Yeah, interesting. Kunal, what about you? Like, what can India implement in the second session and make it better?
Yeah, no, I agree with Gurkit, but I think we have to probably get better at leaving the ball outside off as well. And like be patient, but if there is a loose ball, just capitalize on it. I agree with everyone. Neil Wagner will probably be the most dangerous bowler, but we can't get bogged down. I think we have to remember we can't get bogged down. Take confidence from the Australia series and the England series. In those conditions, we still batted really well in conditions where we lost early wickets. So Kohli and Pujara are used to coming in relatively early. So I'm hoping they take confidence from both those series. But like I said, we have to capitalize on kind of loose deliveries. I would have probably taken even a 45 or a 50 without loss in the first session. But yeah, I think I agree with everyone. 63 for 2 or 67 or 2 for what we are doesn't do justice to how well both the openers played in really testing conditions. So yeah.
In fact, we were 62 for no loss, 62 for 1 and 63 for 2. That was more disappointing. Like, thoda to runs aage chale jata. Anyway, Yatan, your take on this?
Sorry?
Yeah, your take on this? Like, what can India implement in the second session? What can India do better?
I just hope there is no rain predicted, because seeing the weather forecast, I think it's going to rain at 6. So seeing weather conditions aside, I think we might lose another wicket. I think it's going to be Pujara and Kohli to bat till the end. So I'm predicting a score to be maybe 130 for 3.
Oh, okay. Manish, your prediction?
Well, I think our innings will largely depend on how Kohli builds momentum moving forward, and how he paces his innings is going to be crucial, because it's he who has to score the runs, and Pujara can just sit back and make sure that he's seeing off those odd overs and making sure at the same time that he's getting his 20-30 runs and complementing Kohli properly. So I think we might end up losing one wicket like everyone else has predicted, and hopefully it's not Virat Kohli and Pujara gets some runs, and we put on some more runs in the end.
Which wicket hurt you more? Like, ye nahi jana chahiye tha. Was it Gill or Rohit? And you have to pick just one. I know both the wickets hurt us a lot as Indian fans, but one wicket. For me, the Gill wali wicket was really a poor shot according to me.
Yeah, of course, the Gill wicket hurt a lot because he was looking rock solid, and I really personally I wanted Gill to perform quite well in this match, because there was a lot of talk about him, not being the first choice pick for India, but the management has showed that faith in him for someone who's not even played 10 test matches, for that responsibility on his shoulders. I wanted him to perform well, and that wicket really hurt.
Cool. Manish, before we sign off, I just want to know an expectation from you. By the end of second session, what should be our score?
I'll take 130 or 130 to 140 for 3. That should be good.
For 3. Hopefully, Virat stays not out. We want to watch him hit his century.
Yatharth, according to you, what should be the score?
According to me?
Yeah, that is score.
Yes, I think 130 to 140 is a decent score. If Kohli still stay at the crease, I think we are on the right track. And if Kohli manages to pass on this day, then I think that 71st century is just coming up on the next day.
Wow. Kunal, quick predictions?
I'm going for 150 for 3. I'm going to go a bit bold and a bit aggressive. I'm going to go 150 for 3. Pujara probably gets out. Kohli, Rahane probably steady the ship until the end of the day. Yeah.
Okay. Gurkirat, your prediction?
I wouldn't bother with the score as long as the wickets stays true, because I know that there are runs to be scored if the wickets don't fall. Because the bowler going to get frustrated. So as long as the wicket column stays true, I am really not bothered with the score that is on the.
Really interesting predictions. Guys, you also comment and tell us your predictions. We are signing off now, and before we sign off, there's an interesting tweet. Not only a tweet, it has been said by Dinesh Karthik in the commentary box. India have scored more runs in these first 6 overs than in the World Cup semi-final. Ouch! Anyway, thank you so much for joining. This is BATV Test of Champions Fan Doosra show powered by Dafa News. We'll see you again after the end of day's play. Thank you so much. See you again, guys. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.